Jesus is simply not like any teacher that the folk in these stories had ever encountered. And they are not entirely comfortable with him. The Gospel of Mark collects into this section that we're in a set of circumstances that illustrate a growing conflict. 2:1-12 from last week. The story about the paralytic and forgiveness of sins. Who has the right but God alone to forgive sins? And then just before our text today, the criticism that this teacher eats with tax collectors and sinners. Table fellowship with unacceptable people. And then our text today, Jesus' disciples don't fast the way John's disciples and the Pharisees do. And fasting is a very important practice within Jewish national identity. Something is askew here. And then 23-28, his disciples pick and eat grain on the Sabbath, appearing to run roughshod over Sabbath law. And finally, 3:1-6, Jesus also runs roughshod over Sabbath law by healing the man with the withered hand in the synagogue on the Sabbath, breaking all these rules. So Jesus here apparently had a way of disconnecting the teaching of the kingdom from the king himself, the king who is teacher par excellence. Ironically, when we cut off the teaching from the teacher, we make the teaching more manageable and the teacher disappears from the picture. What does it mean, for example, to keep the Sabbath holy? We can imagine having this conversation, right? What do we have to do or not do to keep the Sabbath holy? Well, one thing you do is you don't work. Fair enough. What's work? If you rescue your farm animal trapped in a ditch on the Sabbath, does that constitute work? No, the scribes say. But if you pluck a few grains from a wheat stalk on the Sabbath, does that constitute work? Yes, and you've broken the Sabbath. The teacher has disappeared from the teaching. No, we can take Jesus' teachings and make them manageable. Do this, Jesus says, we do it. Don't do that, Jesus says, we don't do it. If I do this and I don't do that, I've succeeded. In the case of the Sabbath law, I've kept the Sabbath and I'm therefore righteous. Disconnect Jesus' teachings from Jesus' person, take away the offense of the cross, abstract a set of ethical values from Jesus' teachings, and then you have something more workable, more palatable, more in line perhaps with our sensibilities. The Scripture's interchange today begins with this question about fasting. And Jesus has, I'm sure, delivered what must have seemed to the questioners a perplexing response. Friends of the bridegroom don't fast while the bridegroom is with them. Who brought him away? Everyone listening to Jesus would have known about Jewish wedding customs of the day. And in that context, how absurd and even offensive would it have been for friends of the bridegroom gathered to celebrate with him to fast instead of feast? But what's that got to do with the question we asked Jesus? Why is he talking about bridegrooms and weddings? Okay, Lord, we get that part about fasting not appropriate for the wedding, but we weren't talking about someone getting married. Apparently, though, Jesus is. But then he says, the days will come when the bridegroom is taken away from them, and then they will fast on that day. Again, what in the world is Jesus talking about? They must have thought. Perhaps on the other side of the cross and resurrection, these words made more sense. Yeah, the bridegroom will be taken away in that day. Later on, his disciples might look back and remember what he said. But now the hearers are focused on a set of practices that Jesus is reframing. He is reframing those practices within his embodiment of the kingdom of God. To be sure, he is not rejecting the old ways, the old traditions. In fact, in Matthew, chapter 5:17, he states clearly, Do not think that I came to abolish the law or the prophets. I did not come to abolish, but to fulfill. He does, however, challenge the emptiness of teachings and practices that in this context in Mark turn out to be of no effect, that leave people sick and in bondage. Again, we keep in mind our context. In Capernaum, as he taught, the people were astounded at his teaching, for he taught them as one having authority and not as the scribes. That little dig about the scribes. For centuries, scribes had an extremely important role to play in the Jewish community. Ezra, by whose name we know a biblical book, is described in that book as, quote, a scribe skilled in the law of Moses that the Lord, the God of Israel, had given. Ezra the scribe. Ezra played a crucial role in the reformation of the nation of Israel following the exile. The work of scribes is very important. How is it that Jesus teaches in a way different from them? Not as the scribes. Imagine yourself being a scribe, working in that honored tradition. And now this person appears whose ministry casts doubt on yours. And his teaching shows the cracks in the foundation of your approach to the teachings. His teaching points out that in spite of your teaching, the powers are having their way with vulnerable people right under your very noses. People are sick, hungry, demon-oppressed, run down by a system that chokes the very life out of them. Zooming out further and scanning the gospel text more broadly, we find Jesus' harshest criticisms aimed at these religious leaders who manage to keep themselves pure but are failing their people. What if we are guilty of doing similarly? It is easy to turn Christian disciplines into self-absorbed activities with concern for one's spiritual well-being and no real concern for the well-being of others. Now think about this. Imagine using the greatest commandment against the second greatest commandment. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and strength. Often in loving God and seeking to love God, we do so through the disciplines of prayer, scripture study, fasting, worship. And we use all our time doing these things, and we don't get around to the loving our neighbors part. Is it possible that something like this problem is represented in this response of Jesus to the questions about fasting? He supports fasting. He teaches fasting. In other scriptures, we know that Jesus kept the disciplines. He fasts, he prays, and teaches his disciples to do likewise. When you fast, when you pray, he says in Matthew 6, Jesus keeps these disciplines. So when he answers the question here in Mark, something else is at stake other than whether or not the disciplines are appropriate. They are. Something else is going on. Maybe our use of the disciplines has gotten brittle. Maybe like old cloth easily torn, or like old wineskins that have gone unlasting. Jesus' response today provokes this thought. Maybe in our seeking the kingdom, we have settled into manageable practices that squeeze out the king. Maybe we think we somehow have it, that we control these practices and the system into which they fit. What if, in our seeking God's kingdom, we actually miss the King who has come? This is the challenge, I think, that Jesus brings to his hearers and to us. Jesus is not destroying the kingdom that people thought they knew and recognized and regarded as of God. But he is stretching their imagination to see him in his coming, that kingdom in its fullness. This is new, unprecedented, and very unsettling to people who thought they knew what was going on. So if we confuse means, prayer and fasting, for example, with ends, living in the kingdom and following the way of the king, we might find ourselves resisting the king. And that, as we know, is a dangerous thing to do. Our scripture text ends with this strong, implicit caution. Jesus was challenging the people questioning him to notice what is happening through him in their midst. They were coming face to face with the King and his kingdom. His teaching with authority, his healing, his freeing people from affliction and oppression should have directed their attention to the heart of the matter. To use this old metaphor, they should have been able to see the forest, but unfortunately, they're locked in on the trees. The disciplines of fasting, for example. Not seeing the forest because they focus on the trees. Proper observance of the Sabbath, and who has authority to forgive sins, and who's fasting according to schedule. These are all important questions to be sure, but not the final, ultimate question. We can't excuse the questioner's short-sightedness on the basis of their living still ahead of Jesus' death and resurrection. But we don't. We stand in the light of his glory. And so my question to us today is, do we have ears to hear and eyes to see what Jesus is showing us in this passage? The bridegroom has come. There will be a day when he's not among his disciples. They'll fast then. But for now, the bridegroom is with them. And they should celebrate. And we should celebrate the presence of the bridegroom and, as we fast, look forward to his coming again in glory. Lord of heaven and earth, by your grace, line us up with you. As we keep the disciplines, may we remain loyal to you, our great God and King.